And there are times, I mean, I've watched him have to chase money. It takes months to get paid. And I thought, one of us needs to,
Right.
have that real job, that steady paycheck. And I have never been more glad to be wrong.
Welcome to Clicks and Bricks Podcast. We talk about the entrepreneur mindset.
If you get one shot at this, what kind of shot are you going to take?
If we forget who we are, they're going to forget who you are.
And you've got an adversity story that's out of this world.
Everything from that Main Street brick and mortar to that billion-dollar manufacturer.
Okay, so my company is Red Tornado Communication, and I am the Red Tornado. I'm super high energy, always have been. The red part's kind of obvious. I have been a solopreneur for about 2 years now, just over 2 years, actually. I got laid off during the pandemic, like so many other folks, and in June of 2020. And I turned down a few opportunities that were just not right for full-time jobs. And I am incredibly lucky. I have an amazing network of people. So as soon as, I got laid off at 10 a.m. By 10:45, I had filed for unemployment and put it on Facebook. Hey, y'all, this just happened. If anybody knows anyone looking for freelance help, let me know. And I had a contract by 5 p.m. So I was freelancing, but I had in my head, I need to find a real job. My boyfriend of almost 15 years is a professional photographer. So he's self-employed. And there are times, I've watched him have to chase money. It takes months to get paid. And I thought, one of us needs to have that real job, that steady paycheck. And I have never been more glad to be wrong. And so anyway, so like I said, I was looking for jobs and I found, a couple of opportunities came my way. I was not comfortable with any of them. They all wanted me on site full time during a pandemic. And this was before we had vaccinations, before we even really had a handle on things. Fall of 2020, people were still dying in record numbers, and they wanted me on site all the time. I'm a writer. I don't need to be on site for anybody. So that said to me that there simply wasn't a good culture fit right away. That if that's your mindset, that you need to have your people where you can watch them or they're not doing their jobs right away, I'm not the right fit for you. I'm very independent. I always have been. I'm not good at following rules that I think are silly or outdated or anything like that. So anyway, I was really trying to talk myself into taking this third job that I was offered. And some of my friends were like, it was really funny trying to watch you try to talk yourself into this job. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I called a couple of people I was freelancing for. And I said, hey, look, I've been offered a job. And they're like, well, good for you. And I'm like, I don't want it. But you had talked about the possibility of we want to expand in the new year, moving into 2021. We want to do more.
Right.
Is that in the cards? Yes. Okay, then I'm not going to take this job. And I didn't. And so in November of 2021, I said that, or 2020, I said, that's it. I'm in all the way. And I formed Red Tornado Communication as an LLC. And I have just been working full-time freelance ever since. This is honestly the first real marketing thing I have done for myself. I do have a website.
Oh, really?
I do have a website.
Website's a marketing tool.
Yes, of course it is. Yes. But I don't really promote it all that much. In fact, I actually just got it done. But I have such an incredible network, a lot of which is through the University of Miami. I'm a very proud Miami Hurricane alum. And I am also an adjunct lecturer at the university. So a lot of it's through my alumni network, but most of my work has come from former colleagues. Former colleagues who have moved on to other jobs, needed a good writer and said, you're the first person I thought of. So I haven't had to market myself a whole lot, which is fabulous. I mean,
Yes.
and I don't expect that to continue forever, but I haven't really, I have a Facebook page. I have a LinkedIn profile, of course. I mean, personally and for the business, I have my website, but I'm not out there paying for ads.
Right.
I'm
You
not
built
out
your
there doing,
infrastructure.
yes, I have it all in place. But so far, I have been incredibly fortunate that the amazing network I have has generated all of my work. It's my own
Right.
reputation. And I actually wrote a blog last week about how job hopping built my freelance business. Millennials,
Yes.
millennials get a lot of crap for job hopping because, oh, how dare we want to go someplace we're happy,
Job
right?
hoppers have always gotten a bad rap. Like, even
And,
I remember
yes,
being a kid in the 70s,
yeah,
80s, still
yeah,
thinking,
we're the
my,
same
my
age.
dad
Yeah,
complaining about my brothers being job hoppers. Right? Can't be a job
yes.
hopper. It'll ruin your reputation.
Yeah, well, I'm a Gen Xer. I graduated from college right at into the H.W. Bush recession. Not that it's his fault, it just happened under his
Yeah.
presidency. But graduated into that recession. And we knew as Gen Xers, we grew up in the era of Wall Street and greed is good and M&A and people getting laid off by the hundreds and thousands just to be able to give somebody a stock payout. So
Right.
growing up like that, I already had that sort of Gen X cynicism that I'm never going to work someplace for 30 years and get a gold watch. That was never, especially I have a journalism degree. I saw that you studied journalism as well.
I did.
Yes, I looked at your LinkedIn profile.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, of course, I followed you.
I only did journalism because WashU didn't have a film department. It was the
Okay.
closest thing to film that I could get,
Yep.
and I had a full ride to WashU.
Yep.
And my
Well,
mom's like, "If you don't
Washington,
take that, you're an idiot."
yeah, I have a fondness in my heart for Washington University because Tad Foote, who was the president of the University of Miami when I was an undergraduate, came from Washington. That
Oh,
was
wonderful! It's a
he
beautiful
was, I
school.
believe, at their law school before and he also had a journalism background. So anyway, but knowing that I wanted to work in journalism, I knew I was never going to work 30 years at any one place. And job hopping, I mean, if you're in journalism, job hopping is the goal, right?
Yes.
You start at the small local paper and you work your way up, or you start at the TV station in Bismarck, South Dakota, aiming for a major market down the road. So that sort of idea is encoded when you're
Right.
a journalism major. So anyway, I have never worked anywhere for a full 5 years,
Oh, wow.
anywhere. And except for 2 times when I was laid off, it has always been that I was able to move onward and upward. But it's the fact that I have so many experiences that has built that network that is now giving me freelance work.
Right.
So job hopping built my freelance business.
There you
If
go.
I had stayed at one place my entire career, I wouldn't have a network of former colleagues in New York and California and Texas and all over the place. So I think that there's some real benefit of the plus. I've had experience. I mean, I was doing a lot of what I do now is content marketing. So it's a lot of, and a lot of former journalists have landed in content marketing because it's a lot of the same skill set that helps build good content for a website. So anyway, with content marketing, I was doing content marketing back in 2000. We just didn't call it that back then.
Correct.
So I had that experience working for actually for Italian food importers. So I was a food writer for a while. I actually created recipes that helped these companies sell their products. I have been a travel magazine editor here in South Florida, the largest visitors magazine in the area. I was their editor for 3 years. I was a media relations officer at the University of Miami during our last NCAA scandal. So, I mean, those are that's a range of experience right there.
Yes.
That you don't get if you stay in one place. And it's
Right.
that
Let's
range of experience.
look at
that
job
helps me
hopping for a
build-
second. The
Yeah.
only reason you wouldn't job hop is if you wanted to work your way through the ranks of the company that you're at.
Right.
That's
Right.
the only like in today's world, we learned this in the .com bubble for sure, right?
Yeah.
These kids that were coming in, they were getting a job. The only way to get a raise outside of the year, or maybe even 2 years sometimes in these startup.coms, was to get another job. And your raises would be 2 and 3x, right? And it'd be crazy not to go. But it was, companies were valuing new employees way greater than they were existing employees, which is one of the most bizarre things on the planet to me. But it definitely happens.
Isn't that incredibly frustrating? Like, I've been here for 3 years. I've put in the blood, sweat, and tears, and you hire somebody from outside, promote them, hire them above me when I applied for the promotion, and they're, in one case, literally 18 years younger.
Right.
Yeah. But like, so I have no value. And that's another, I think that's a huge part of why people are more comfortable with job hopping is that you only stay. Now, and first of all, in corporate America, organizations are becoming flatter. They are not. The last big company I worked for was First Service Residential, which is the largest property management company in North America. It is in 24 states and 3 provinces of Canada. Great company, but they are very, very flat. The CEO at the time wouldn't even allow assistant or senior titles. So you were a coordinator, you were a manager, or you were a director. There was no senior manager. There was no assistant director. So trying to get promoted didn't really work. They wouldn't even promote you on paper to be able to give you a raise. So I think that that's another element of why, if you can't get promoted because your organization has deliberately chosen a flat hierarchy, what do? You go somewhere else.
Yes.
And in my case, unfortunately, they were the ones who laid me off. So I chose that my next job title would be founder. And I'm pretty happy with that one.
Congratulations. So solo entrepreneur, and I honestly believe that over the next 5 and 10 years, the solo entrepreneur is going to replace marketing teams, all kinds of stuff, right? Just across the board. Instead of taking a job at a company and being beholden to one company and signing all these crazy non-competes and, having all the stuff that comes with having a traditional job, right? You don't have to have it, right? I remember when I was young, and part of the reason I do the things that I do, I had a job for about 4 months where I was a bill collector. I was damn good at it. I'm a damn good bill collector.
That had to be soul sucking though.
And I remember waking up. It took about a month before it started happening. I'd sit at the edge of my bed and I would be literally had to talk myself every morning into going to work. And it was like, I'm not doing this. This is crazy. Yeah. Right. And I took a huge pay cut to leave that and do the stuff that I'm doing now. And I don't regret it for a second. Right. And I would have been very profitable at that company for a very long time, but it just was not worth it.
If you have to talk yourself into going to work, you're not working at the right place. You're just not. And I've been there.
Yes.
I've been there plenty of times.
To be fair though, sometimes I still have to talk myself out of getting out of bed, but that's a different argument.
Well, yes. And that is the biggest challenge, I think, with being a solopreneur is the discipline that because I have clients in several time zones. There are days that I won't start until 11 a.m.
Right.
But then I'm working till 8 o'clock at night. So, that means there's no happy hour that day, which is perfectly fine. But I'm just saying you have to have the discipline to do the work without anybody standing over your shoulder.
Right.
And watching you. At First Service Residential, and this is in no way a complaint, our office was completely open. Not even the CEO had an office in the corporate headquarters. The only door was for HR. And so it was very transparent. It was very open, and that was very cool. I never saw my CEO wear a tie. I saw him wear dress coats, but I never saw in 4 years. I never saw the man wear a tie. So it was a great environment for the most part, but it was entirely open. So anything you did, like if you very quickly checked your bank balance while you were at work. Anybody could see what you were doing.
Right.
So that's, I think that's more and more common in the corporate working world as companies try to save space and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But it's one of those things that just, I didn't love it. And now
So too
I
transparent.
do. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
But point being was that they were literally standing over my shoulder.
Oh yeah,
and
that's
could,
not good.
and could see, like, if my vice president stood up, he sat behind me. So if he stood up, he could see what I was writing.
Right.
And that keeps you on task, right? Well,
Yeah.
nobody's standing over my shoulder now. So it's up to
Correct.
me to keep myself on task. It was a very long, rambling way to get back to that, but that was the point.
Right.
So
let's dive into discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline is something I have zero issues dealing with discipline to do work. I have a lot of discipline issues on my consumption and things that I do. Like
Sure.
I like to have too much fun and all that stuff. And,
I'm with you.
Tell me more about how you find the discipline to do things on a regular basis. Because we know Parkinson's law says it only takes the amount of time that you allot yourself to do something. So you tell yourself in your head, oh, it's going to take me 10 minutes and and it's noon and I can start that at 12:50. Right? But we know if we started at noon instead of 12:50, if it's due at 1, that we would get a lot more stuff done and it would be a better project. So what tips do you have for discipline?
Well, so one thing I do is I block off time, because I do have, since I have several different clients that are agencies. So I have multiple calendars. It's funny. I've actually reverted back to a paper planner. And on Sunday night, I sit down and I look at all the multiple calendars and all the multiple email addresses and the calendars connected to them. And I write it all out in a planner. So I'm using paper and colored highlighters and colored pens to be able to see what I've got going on. I think that, and I mean, you've studied journalism, so I think you'll understand this. Being deadline driven is intrinsic for journalists.
Yes.
Because a badly written story on the front page is better than no story on the front page. So we don't get to be perfectionists necessarily, because we got to get it done. And it's got to be done by the time the presses start.
Right.
There's
Same with entertainment.
Right. There's no flexibility.
When the bell rings, you've got to be on the stage. There's no curtain drops, you're on stage. You got to be there. There's no excuse to not be there.
Absolutely. And I did stand-up comedy for a little while, and it was the same thing. When they call your name, you are on, and that's it. And there's no, oh, I need 5 more minutes to review my notes or whatever. So I think I've done so much stuff since I was a kid that is incredibly deadline driven, that it's second nature. I do find myself sometimes, especially when it's a task I don't want to do, that I do the Parkinson's math and I put it off until, okay, I know that they need it at 5 o'clock. I know I can wait until 4 to start. But at the same time, then the journalism brain kicks in and says, but what if?
Right.
What if you have trouble tracking down the right source? What if you can, okay, started earlier. So I think the fact that I have a very hardwired journalism brain is its own natural driver of that sort of discipline. But again, I'm a sucker for highlighters and pens and colors and anything that'll help me feel like I've got my act together.
Right.
So all of that stuff.
I use a program called Calendly, and I'm a little different than you. I just assume that I put way too much trust in my technology. And when my calendar tells me to do something, I do the thing that my calendar tells me to do. And it's, right now we're shooting this, it's 4:19 p.m. And I've literally, every minute of my day, I've been gone by calendar. I do leave a half hour here and there open for checking email and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you said that you kind of consolidate all this on a Sunday and kind of go to old school paper. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, so Sunday nights, I sit down and I have what is called a passion planner. And you can see colors and appointments. So I set up meetings. I look at deadlines that I have for the week and I write down the things where the deadlines are. I also on Sunday night make my boyfriend tell me what nights he has to work outside the house for Major League Baseball. So I know how many nights do I have to cook dinner. So I can
Right.
have all that planned out as well. So it is old school, but it works for me. And so I write
Right.
down every meeting that I have. Some things get crossed out, some things get moved, but I write down every meeting and every deadline on Sunday so that when I go to sleep, I know what I'm looking at for the week. And do I
Right.
have time to goof off? Do I have time? And now yesterday I had a client emergency. I volunteered and did an upward bound tour of the University of Miami campus as a favor to a fellow alum. So I did that in the morning, and I got home around 12:30 in the afternoon, and I had messages starting to come in on my phone saying, hey, we've got a 911 on this client and we need you like 2:00. We've got a meeting. Da, 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 da. Okay, fine. So I had to cancel the haircut that I was planning to get yesterday.
Right.
And move things around. So I do try to accommodate when it's that sort of last minute, but I really do like having my week planned out. And then yes, if there's a need to shift or to be flexible, then okay, that's fine.
Right.
But at least I go into the week knowing how much work I'm looking at, knowing how many meetings I have, because of course meetings are the biggest productivity suck when you're a writer. You're not writing. If you're
Yeah.
meeting, you're not writing.
Correct.
So, and now those meetings are essential because a lot of them are kickoffs, a lot of them are follow-ups, a lot of them are maybe a strategy change kind of meeting, that sort of thing. And so I try to also, with all those digital calendars I have, I go in and block myself out as unavailable and dedicate that time to writing.
Right.
So that they can't put a meeting on my calendar. If I've got a nice 3-hour block
I
where I
call
can
that
be
blocking out
productive,
time.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
And that helps a lot because if they can't take that time from me, it's one of those things where if I have several meetings throughout the day, then I feel like if I've only got a half hour in between, I'm just like hitting my groove writing when I'm back in another meeting.
Right.
So I try to block out sections of time that nobody can take from me so I can use that time to really be creative, get into the flow, as people like to call it, and really get stuff done.
Right. A couple comments. One, Joe Rogan, I was watching a video of his the other day, and he said that he takes every Sunday, he sits down and plans out his entire week. That's every single Sunday. So you're in good company with your Sunday calendaring, or at least
certainly
successful company. I
Yes.
don't know the man, but he's a pretty successful guy. So
He is very successful. Yes.
yes. So that's phenomenal. And
Yep.
I would urge all business owners and entrepreneurs, and you're only 2 years into solo
Right.
entrepreneurship, that dealing with the ebbs and flows of the schedule and the wildfires and stuff like that. The wildfires are always going to happen. So stuff like getting your haircut is wildly important that you and haircut is a simple thing, especially for me. But when you start talking about health and wellness and,
Right.
letting that tooth go a little bit longer, or, I can skip that appointment, or I can skip that exam, it's selfish to your customers and your other employees if you don't take care of yourself first. So I just want to, skipping that appointment, obviously haircut is, you can do that. You can do that here and there, but it's really important that you're taking care of yourself first, or you're not there for everybody else. It's just going to be that simple.
And it should be the same idea as if I was an employee and I would take time off for a doctor's appointment because you have to, because they're not available on Saturday. Well,
Right.
I should also take time off for the same appointment when it's just me. So
Correct.
yes, because what's the saying? You can't pour from an empty cup.
Cannot. You
So
can
if
try, I
you-
guess. There's something
Well,
in there.
you can try.
I don't
but you're
believe
not
in empty
gonna get in your
cups.
car.
But there's something in there no matter what. But it just depends on what you're pouring out. That might not be worth anything.
Yes. Yeah. And yes, I think that's really important. I take my vitamins every day and I try to eat healthily and all that kind of stuff. And if I have a day that I have a terrible headache or my back is bothering me or something like that, I have no problem. Like I will look at what I have to do. And if there is time that I can take and just chill with an ice pack and watch a movie because I've got that, I know
Right.
when things are due. I know what time I have. And I think that that sort of planning is really critical to the discipline of being a solopreneur when you don't have a boss literally right here.
Yes. It is
Yes.
very it can be challenging.
Mhm.
I have successfully done it. I've also screwed it up in significant ways, glorious ways. Right. I've definitely, when I was young, I let entire companies go to destroyed because I got distracted and looked the other direction for too long. And
Yeah, it
it can
happens.
happen, right? It absolutely happens. So as a solopreneur, more importantly, if you have employees, you're accountable to your employees and your customers. If you are a
Yes.
solopreneur, you're only accountable to yourself and your clients,
Yes. Well, and in,
right?
in my case, I'm also accountable to the people that I work with on projects. For example, I do not do graphics. You do not want me
Okay.
doing graphics. I'm terrible at it. My brother is great at social graphics. So I sub all that work to my brother's
Right.
business. And so I'm also responsible to him, making sure that I have what he needs for his deadlines and his business flow, that I
Right.
pay him on time. I'm
Yeah.
responsible to other people that I work with because I do not do on my website, I list in my services, social graphics, website design, that sort of thing.
Right.
None of that is done by me. It's done by people that I work with and sub out to. So we are a one-stop shop because I don't think anybody really truly expects that one person can do all of those things and do them well. I mean, the skill sets for doing
Correct.
graphics and for coding a website and for writing great marketing copy are not the same.
Yeah.
So if you're hiring Red Tornado to build a website for you, Josh is actually going to build the website. I'm going to write all the copy. Josh and Brendan's company together are going to do the graphics. And then if you want us to do social media for you, that's going to be Brendan and Maria as well, because I don't like
Right.
doing social media if I can avoid it. I will do it, but then I try to sub some of it out to them.
Right.
So I am responsible to other people in that sense. And that
Correct.
is helpful as well, because I don't think anybody can successfully operate in a vacuum in terms of only being you to clients. Maybe, I mean, not even attorneys do. I mean, they have firms, they have
Yes.
paralegals, they've got other people on their teams. So I think that is, I think that that's an important thing to keep in mind, is that it's never just you. Even if you don't
Right.
directly have employees, you've got other people in your world that you do rely on. Maybe instead of somebody that you hire to do things, maybe it's simply your IT person.
Right.
There are always other people involved.
Right.
So so building a network of trusted professionals to do the things that I cannot do or don't want to do, I think is one of the things that is really important to my personal success. That I say, yes, I can do this. That doesn't mean I'm
Right.
personally doing it.
Correct. So that's an interesting concept on the solopreneur world, right? So a lot of people think, oh, I'm a solopreneur, I'm going to do all of the work. But and because I don't want to have employees, I don't want to deal with that payroll and
Right.
all those other things. But you can 1099 that person, and then they're
Yep.
their
Yeah.
own freelance. So you're doing freelance work
Yep.
for subcontractors to do that
Yep.
work. So I've talked to a lot of people like, oh, I want to do this. I love this part of this thing, and I want to start this business, but I don't know how to do the other X and the Y. I only know how to do the Z. I'm like, well, then
Yep.
you can outsource the X and the Y. You don't have to
Yes.
do all three pieces, right? You can do
Right.
your piece, but you can sell all of them. I do that. I mean, I operate data centers, but I can sell AT&T and Verizon and I can sell internet services from every provider in the country, right?
Right.
And some of them globally. So I'm not
Yeah.
AT&T, but I can sell their services, and they're glad to pay me to do it.
Oh, exactly. And when you said earlier in our conversation that in the next 5 to 10 years, you expect to see, solopreneurs replacing marketing departments, well, that's how we're going to do it. Is
Yes.
with networks, because I have been hired by website developers who know that they cannot write copy.
Yeah.
Right? I've been hired by graphic designers who know that they cannot write copy. Then I turn around and I hire those graphic designers because you do not want me designing your logo. I hire that website developer because I don't want to build your website. I want to write for it. I want to make it sing, but I don't want to build it.
Right.
So I think it's a professional referral kind of idea. And once you've got that network and you know you've got a solid team that I can say, hey, Josh, Maria, Brendan, Silvana, this just came my way. John, do you have time? And we figure out, okay, well, who's got the capacity? Who's got the bandwidth right now? And we can take the project on as a group. So I think, and we're actually, that entire group that I just mentioned is doing a project for a startup, an educational startup that is very, very cool. So, and it was a friend of mine brought the founder of that startup to me. And then I said, okay, well, you need a website. Josh, can you help with this website? Brendan, Maria, can you help with the social? Can you do the social graphics and the social posting and the boosting and the Facebook ads and all that stuff? And there we go. So, and so we built Lisa an entire marketing team without her having to hire a single employee.
Correct. And they're all there for her, building it, and she's got the pieces that she needs when she needs them, and not all the time, right? But she's got the company to go to get that resource again if it's needed to have happen.
Yes.
That's it for today's show, folks. If you'd like to join my text line community, the number is 314-370-2871. All you have to do to join that text line is send me any question about business or technology. I'll do all the research, and I'll give you an absolutely free, totally unbiased answer. Get to work.